Violence is a big problem. Too many children are dying. Too many children. We must do something. It will be hard, but the time is now. You must act. Be bold, be courageous. Americans are counting on you. Thank you.
We have to come together today as Americans seeking common cause. I hope we can forego sloganeering and demagoguery and partisan recrimination. It's too important for that. We should all be here as Americans. Second Amendment rights are the foundation on which our discussion rests. They're not at risk. But what is at risk are lives. Lives are at risk when responsible people fail to stand up for laws that will keep guns out of the hands of those who use them to commit murder, especially mass murders. I ask we focus our discussion on additional statutory measures to better protect our children and all Americans. I say this as a parent and as a grandparent. Ours is a free society, an open society. We come together today to consider how to become a safer and more secure society. As a responsible gun owner and someone who cherishes all of our constitutional rights, as a senator who has sworn an oath to uphold those rights, as a father and a grandfather, and as a former prosecutor who has seen the results of gun violence firsthand in graphic detail, I undertake these efforts with hope that this hearing can build consensus around common sense solutions.
We aren't here as victims. We're speaking to you today as Americans. Looking back, we can't say with certainty, only if we had done this, this would have never happened. There isn't just one thing that would have prevented the Tucson shooting from being written into the history books. Gabby is one of roughly 100,000 victims of gun violence in America each and every year. Behind every victim lays a matrix of failure and inadequacy in our families, in our communities, in our values, in our society's approach to poverty, violence, and mental illness, and yes, also in our politics and in our gun laws. One of our messages is simple. The breadth and complexity of gun violence is great, but it is not an excuse for inaction.
Our last witness, and then we'll go to questions, is Wayne LaPierre, the Executive Vice President and CEO of the National Rifle Association. I believe, Mr. LaPierre, you've been there since 1978. Is that correct?
That's correct, sir.
Yeah. Please go ahead.
While we're ready to participate in a meaningful effort to solve these pressing problems, we must respectively, but honestly and firmly disagree with some members of the committee and many in the media and all the gun control groups on what will keep our kids and keep our streets safe. Law-abiding gun owners will not accept blame for the acts of violent or deranged criminals, nor do we believe that government should dictate what we can lawfully own and use to protect our families.